Hey guys, welcome to the channel, or if you've been here before, welcome back. Today we're diving back into my series where we look at the best fighters in the world. We focus in on what makes them so good and how we can train to be more like them. First we covered Conor McGregor, then we covered Canelo. Recently we went Buakaw. Today we're moving in by popular request, Rodtang. We're going to look at what makes him so exceptional. He is just a little tank. We're going to break him down, have some fun looking at some of his clips, his fights. Join me guys, it's going to be a blast. Alright guys, today we are talking about Rodtang. Now he is one of the stars of ONE FC, which is the big promotion over in Asia. I honestly hadn't seen too many of his fights before I started putting together this video. Once I did, I went, wow, I'm a fan. Now there's so many things that we could talk about, but what I want to take off the table for today is we're not going to talk about his speed, his power, or his aggression. We're not going to focus on those three things, and I have a good reason why. And that is simply because I want to teach you guys things, his techniques, his strategies, things that you can start implementing yourself. I don't really know how to help you guys get a lot better at being super aggressive, aside from saying, truck forward, be more aggressive, or talking about increasing your speed and power. That's just more getting on the bag and hitting hard, hitting fast, just building that ability to utilize those assets. I want to focus in today on 5 things that he is super exceptional, that we can all start working right away as soon as you watch this video, and hopefully you'll start seeing some improvements and changes come around very quick, as opposed to the aggression, the power, and the speed, which honestly take a bit of time to build up. It's something that doesn't just happen like that. Guys, the channel is exploding. It's so exciting for me, this growth. I didn't think I'd see it for a long time. So help the channel out, give the video a like. If you haven't, get subscribed, join the channel, join the family. A super big, huge thanks to everybody who's already subscribed, supporting the videos, throwing down comments. Guys, let's move right on and get into point number 1 of what makes Rodtang so darn good. Now, the first thing I want to talk about, because I've noticed that he throws his left hook a whole heck of a lot. He throws it, but he doesn't seem to get punished too much for it, which is kind of funny because his style, I would not say, is super evasive. I mean, he has some nice movement, and we'll talk about that later. But right now I want to talk about when he's standing here and he just gets in his style where he's trucking forward and he's just bombing those shots. Boom! I'm just throwing. He doesn't do a whole lot of things defensively super well in terms of this shoulder pulling up or this other hand keeping really high. If I was going to be trucking forward personally, I would be coming right to here, where my shoulder's protecting my jaw, my other hand's protecting my jaw. But because he doesn't bother with any of that, we need to look at why he is successful with this shot. And I've broken it down, I've watched footage, I'm going to show you a clip right now when he throws this left hook. What he does so amazingly well is get his head off the center line. It's small, it's subtle, he simply goes from here and he drops. Very often, he drops. Now, if the guy's already on the back pedal and he's moving forward and he knows there's no counter coming, then he just goes like this. His chin's high, his head stays high. But if there's any chance of the counter shot coming, or he thinks for some reason the guy's going to punch at the same time as him, you will notice his head continually do the tiniest little drop. He's not overly concerned because he's so tough and he's so durable about taking some shots off the head, but at some point you need to be a little bit smart. And he is in just getting his chin and his head slightly out of the way. So it's kind of standing here. He has that little style where he's trucking forward, his hands kind of bob. Instead of always throwing right here with his head really high, his shoulder low, his hand low, he'll drop. Tiny little drop. I'm trying to get used to even dropping this hand the way he does it when he throws, and this just feels so wrong to me. But, you know, he's just bombing shots in. But what you can really try to do here, what you can learn from him, is if you are one of those fighters who likes to move forward, you like to be on the hunt, you're stalking your prey. You don't always want to walk forward and just go here with your head high. You want to try and get that head off that center line. So whenever you're doing your shadow boxing, if you're thinking aggressive mode, I'm going to push forward, I have this guy hurt. Instead of staying high, just drop your head. Trucking forward, drop your head. Just get off that point there, and then if you decide to come back with the cross, you've already put yourself in a good position where you can load that power into that follow-up cross. He throws with his elbow high, that's okay. But just thinking, you know, moving around, I'm here, trucking forward, boom, head down. For me, I think that's a really important key factor to what makes him so good. It's something we can all work, whether we're doing bag work, pad work, shadow boxing. You can practice just throwing your hook and moving that head off the center line. I've talked about this before in other videos. I've done breakdowns of getting your head off the center line. Usually for me, it's on a straight punch where I focus on the head off the center line, but he does it on his hook. Again, not all the time, but quite often. All right, guys, from here, moving on, I want to talk about his ability to absorb shots. He takes shots so well. Now, we have to understand that, number one, he is fighting at a tiny weight. The weight class that he's at is very small, so the guys that are hitting him are not monsters. They're not beasts. They're not going to be something like a heavyweight catching you flush in the jaw. So Rodtang is able to take those shots a little better because of the weight class. But still, he takes shots at that weight class like nobody else. He doesn't look like he respects the other guy's power. And how, I'm trying to figure out, and have come to a conclusion, does he accomplish that? Now, I could be wrong. It could just be God-given. But let's assume that we want to be a little bit more like him. We want to take shots like him. What can we focus on? What can we do to be able to take shots with that impact? Even though that obviously isn't the goal. My goal would be to not take shots. But if you want to take shots like him, the first thing we can think of is if I put my mouth guard in and I'm not substantially biting down, you know, that mouth guard slides in, you're not biting down on it, it's going to cause your jaw to be a little bit looser. Even if your teeth are touching, both teeth, top and bottom, are touching the mouth guard, you're still going to not have that tension through the jaw. And I believe that most of the time when he's throwing, when you look at him, the structure, the masseters there clenched, I think that he is clenching his jaw and squeezing up and down with his teeth on that mouth guard. And just doing that means that when you get hit, instead of me relaxing my jaw and you see my jaw kind of wobble, when I get hit with a clenched jaw, it's not going to wobble as much. So first of all, there's less chance of the jaw getting dramatically hurt. I also think that his neck muscles are insanely strong so that his head doesn't wobble a lot when he takes a hard shot. Now, if you want to work your neck muscles, you want to get those stronger, I want you to do it safely. So check out the workout video up here for your neck. This is the exclusive workout video that I use. So I'm strengthening my neck, but not aggravating it, not injuring it. But if we want to take shots like Rodtang, we want to absorb them like him, we want to not be concerned about other people's power, number one, bite down. When you're doing your shadow boxing, don't keep your mouth loose, don't have your tongue sticking out or doing anything like that. Bite down on that and try and throw shots. It's going to cause you to have to breathe through your nose as opposed to your mouth, but that's a good habit to get into anyway. And then the neck strengthening, being able to absorb the shot through the neck as opposed to your head shifting, that's just a matter of developing those muscles there and keeping them tense when you're in exchanges so your head doesn't wobble. I think those are two things that he probably does very, very well. He works on so that he can take the shots like he does. It's something that we can train to take shots a little more like him so that when we get hit, we don't drop or we don't get rocked back. We want to be able to take the shots and have the judges go, you know what, that landed flush, but the damage wasn't that high. All right, guys, moving on once again, I want to talk about how he makes it very difficult for his opponents to feel safe. And like we just talked about, he does get hit. He's a hittable fighter. But when you throw at somebody, you connect on them, and then right away they're throwing back on you, it's going to start to cause hesitancy. And that's something he does so well. He takes a shot, he throws back. And when he throws back, he makes them feel unsafe. His opponents probably very rarely feel safe in the fight. And being able to hit somebody with a shot and then back up, or hit somebody with a shot and have them back up, that's a good moment for you. In those moments, you feel strong, you feel safe, you feel like you're winning. But when you fight Rodtang, it looks like you hit him, and then right away he's coming back at you, and he's trekking forward, and he's not going to let you land shots without reciprocating. That's a scary thing. That's a unique skill set that he has. So how do we train this? Well, what we can do is this is much better with a partner. If you have a partner with either pool noodles, they're poking them at your head. You know, the pool noodle touches, and right away you're bang, bang. And then they come back and they touch you a couple times, you parry, bang, bang. Whatever you're doing, whether it's shadow boxing, pad work, bag work, something where you're imagining the shots coming and you're going, okay, block, block, strike, 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 block, 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 strike, strike. He hits me, right back on them. We're trying to not give this guy any moment to feel like he's winning the fight and he is safe in that second, that 5 seconds, that 10 seconds. It's always danger time. That's a scary fight. That's a scary fight to be in, and I don't imagine his opponents enjoy being in the cage or the ring with him. Next, I want to move on and talk about the super unique sweep that Rodtang does. It's a pretty awesome sweep. I haven't seen too many people do this before. Generally, when you sweep somebody, your feet stay planted, you pull them into you, and you touch them in the lower shin. But what he does is once he takes control of somebody, he shuffle steps to the side. It's almost like he's getting ready to do sidestep. But instead of having the foot that gets kicked out touch the ground, he lifts it up. He shuffle steps and lifts his leg up. As he does that, he controls their neck. He shuffle steps to the side, and then he takes the leg that's out and he boots it through against their bottom leg. At the same time, the opposite hand pushes the other direction, so he has that scissor effect. One low, one high going in opposite directions. He shuffle steps over and then boops and drops them down. This is a sheer tenacity, sheer force, not too much technique behind it, I would say, compared to other throws or sweeps. But man, it looks amazing. He just dumps guys, he throws them over. It looks so dominating, and it's something that I haven't seen much, but I really, really love it. And it just goes into his whole style of not just win, but domination. So if you want to work this one, it's very simple. You can almost just think almost like a big clock ticking. The arm on a clock ticks back and forth. So I think foot ticks, out to the side. Just try that. I kind of double bounce. I'm never letting my heels touch. And then when I'm ready, I have my hands up like I'm clenching, and I kick one leg out, and then I just bat it through and sweep. If you have an opponent or somebody to practice with, this is even better, but it's not the nicest way to throw somebody. You can do it once or twice before they probably go, no, I don't want to do that anymore. So to practice on your own, just think of a big clock moving side to side. Your feet just bat one to the other, and then sweep through. You can do it either way. Just come up and then sweep through. Up, sweep through. It's such a nice throw, one that I haven't seen like I mentioned. I think you guys could have some fun with this. Just try it out in the middle of your shadow boxing. You're just working away. You imagine, we're in the clinch, up and bam, throw them down. We're going to pause and we're going to do a bonus point, because this is not something that I recommend people needing to do, but it's just so cool when he does it. Him calling his opponent into battle. When his opponent does not want to engage with him, they don't want to engage in that clash, that battle, he gets really upset and he starts going, come on, come on. And it's just something that if somebody's yelling that at you, psychologically, it's either going to break you down or it's going to tempt you into actually exchanging with him, either of which is a terrible idea. Personally, if somebody did that to me, I wouldn't react. I would just do my fight plan. I wouldn't react. I wouldn't smile at him. I wouldn't acknowledge. I would continue with my game plan. But most people don't do that. They kind of do some sort of reaction, and I think it right away gives them an edge. I just wanted to point that out. If you're somebody in fights who can utilize that kind of sort of psychological warfare, do it. It's going to be advantageous for you. It's not my style. I would never do it. But I just wanted to throw that in as a bonus point and mention it. And finally, guys, I want to talk about his head movement. It is not fancy, it is not exceptional, but it is effective, and it's something that we can all use. And the favorite part of my head motion that he does, I mean, when he's bombing shots, he'll occasionally slip. The first point we did today was him dropping and throwing that shot. That's not really a slip, that's just more of a preemptive slip as opposed to reactionary. But what he does very, very well is when he's in the middle of throwing, or if he goes, okay, this guy's about to counter, he just leans back. He does it so quick, it's so fast, and he just gets his head to that zone where now he can decide, am I going to move back in and continue with my attack, or am I just going to step back? And he does this very different than a lot of people do. A lot of people will angle their body, they'll take the tip, they'll make sure it's their oblique engaging as opposed to all through the back, but his movement is very small. He's not covering a whole lot of distance. I'd say it's 6 to 12 inches. He's banging away and then whoop. And we can all practice that. Just practice leaning back. Just throw your shots. That's it. You can hang out there even for a second if you want. This one will be extra beneficial again if we have somebody with a pool noodle. They're just standing in front of us, maybe they're holding them out. They only swing occasionally, and when we see that swing happen, we stop our punches and we just lean back. And again from here, we decide in this moment, am I moving back in to continue with my shots? Or from here, am I just going to disengage? Or maybe my opponent disengages. Doesn't really matter in this instance. It's just a matter of getting used to when I'm in the middle of my shadow, whatever I'm doing, I imagine the movement of a punch coming and I tip back. Go back to throwing, tip back. And I'm just keeping that in mind whenever I do any shadow boxing, any bag work, any pad work. It'll start coming out into sparring when you start adding it into those 3 elements of training first. All right, guys, that is my take on Rodtang. Does it cover everything he's good at, everything he's exceptional at? Absolutely not. It's just 5 points plus a bonus point, which hopefully you can implement into your training routine and start becoming a little bit more like him, or maybe understanding why he's so good. If you guys enjoyed the breakdown, give it a like. If you guys haven't already, get subscribed. If you want me to cover one of your favorite fighters, I haven't covered somebody, throw it in the comments below. Who do you want to see in this series next? Who do you want to be more like? Who do you want to see training tips on so you can be just a little bit more like them? Thanks for joining me today, guys. Train hard, and I'll see you back here soon for another video.